If you're looking for a cozy book that won't take all summer to finish, I've got you covered. These 5 weekend-friendly reads are light, engaging, and perfect for afternoons on the porch or for relaxing with after summer adventures. Hello book friends, I'm Jen and welcome to my reading life and welcome to a video about summer books that you can read in a weekend. I talk a lot about books that are long and epic and how much I love those in the summer, but another thing that I also love is a book that is just a quick read that I can get through, that's not too taxing, that is perfect for a hot, lazy summer afternoon with a glass of iced tea and nothing to do and nowhere to go. Grab yourself something cold, something warm, your beverage of choice, a snack, and let's settle in and get to books that I think make for great summer weekend reads. The first book I'm going to share with you today is a middle grade read, and while I think there are a lot of middle grade books that make for great summer weekend reading, this one in particular is short, it's sweet. And though this book is actually set during a school year and goes from September until June, I do think it makes for great summer reading, and that is Love That Dog by Sharon Creech. This is a novel in verse. It is a very quick read. As you can see, there aren't many words on each of the pages, and this is about a young boy named Jack, and his teacher has assigned a poetry writing assignment that they are to do throughout the school year. Jack really doesn't want to do it. He thinks poetry writing is for girls, but his teacher does not let him off the hook, and slowly over time, Jack perhaps begins to appreciate poetry. I think this book is a perfect blend of the sweetness of childhood with a little bit of that I can't believe adults are making me do this. I also think if poetry is something you struggle with, this might be a good entry point. Sharon Creech also includes some of the poems that are referenced in the book at the end of the book, and I just think it's lovely. I'm going to read you a very quick little excerpt from it, which I think will help you see the humor in it and why I love this one so much. This entry is from September 27th. I don't understand the poem about the red wheelbarrow and the white chickens and why so much depends on them. If that is a poem about the red wheelbarrow and the white chickens, then any words can be a poem. You've just got to make short lines. And I think that just sort of epitomizes Jack's incredulity about having to do this poetry assignment. And it is fun to watch him grow over the course of this very, very short little book. If you've never read this one, I highly recommend it. There's also a follow-up book called Hate That Cat. So if you enjoy this one, then definitely pick that one up as well. But I think this makes for a lovely summer weekend read. One of my favorite types of books to read is the epistolary novel, which is a novel written in letters. And I think these novels often read so very quickly. And I have 2 epistolary novels that I'm going to share with you today, and they are very different from each other, but I think they both make for a great weekend summer read. And the first one that I want to mention is Love and Saffron by Kim Fay. The subtitle of this is A Novel of Friendship, Food, and Love. This is the story of Imogen and Joan, and they begin a correspondence that turns into a friendship. It develops over a shared love of food, and Imogen is, she's middle-aged. She lives in the Pacific Northwest, and Joan is very young, and she lives in Los Angeles. Imogen is a columnist who writes about food and has been doing so for a while, and Joan reaches out to Imogen because Joan's mother had always loved her column, and Joan is an aspiring food writer in the LA scene, and she sends her a packet of saffron, and it starts up this correspondence that, like I said, turns into a friendship. And this is such a lovely book. It is heartwarming, it is a bit heartbreaking, but it is so lovely, and I can't recommend it enough. And if you love this, you can follow-up novel, which is Kate and Frida, which is loosely related to Love and Saffron, though follows a different set of women. But I highly recommend this book. It is a very, very quick read. Again, it is written in letters. But if you like books about women and friendship and food and what binds us together, then I think you will absolutely love Love and Saffron. Next up is a book that is also epistolary, but very different from Love and Saffron, and was a book that sat on my bookshelf for a very long time. And then I finally picked it up, and it was such a refreshing surprise. And that book is Elemento by Mark Dunn. If you love words, if you love language, this is the book for you. This is a book set on the fictional island of Nolla. Nevin Nolla invented the phrase, "the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog," which uses all of the letters of the alphabet. And everything is going along just fine until the letters of that phrase, which are written on a memorial statue of Nolla on the island, begin to fall off. And the Island Council decides that the fallen letters can no longer be used in any way. They may not be written, they may not be spoken. And as you can imagine, this wreaks havoc with communication on the Isle of Nolla. And in this, we follow Ella. She is a young woman at the center of a movement to save the island from totalitarianism. And we follow along to find out if they can actually do that or not. This is a book filled with underused words, made up words, and by the very end, very few words at all. I will show you one of the final pages of the book, which looks like this. It becomes incredibly difficult to communicate, and this book was so funny, so fresh, so refreshing, and I think it would make an absolutely perfect summer weekend read, especially if you like a book that plays with form, that plays with language. If that's something that intrigues you, I definitely recommend that you give this book a try. And this book was just pure delight from start to finish. And next up is a novella by one of my very favorite authors. And this novella was actually sort of a lost novella and was rediscovered and republished, I think back in 2016, and that is The Wind Off the Small Isles by Mary Stewart. This little volume actually contains The Wind Off the Small Isles as well as a short story entitled The Lost One. And these are two very short reads, and I think you could get through actually both of them in a weekend. The novella itself is, I think, only about 60 pages long, 70 pages long, and it's actually a little bit of a dual timeline. We learn about two lovers from 1879, and this takes place in Lanzarote, which I believe is part of the Canary Islands. Mary Stewart actually traveled to the Canary Islands, and so she was very familiar with the terrain, and you can definitely get that sense. She is so fantastic with her descriptions of Lanzarote. But the majority of the book takes place in 1968. We follow Perdita. She is a secretary to a famous author, and she has gone to Lanzarote to do some research for the author. And while she's out snorkeling, she ends up getting trapped in this cave. There is a cave-in, and the water, because the tide is coming in, the water is slowly rising. And so she spends a good chunk of the story trying to figure out a way to get herself out of this cave. And in the meantime, while she is trying to figure out a way to escape out of this cave, she discovers something about the lovers from the first timeline that we learn about. So this is, again, a bit of intrigue, mystery, suspense. But Mary Stewart does this in such a way that while you can feel the tension and suspense mounting as the story goes on, you do also feel like things have to work out. So I definitely recommend this one. If you've never read Mary Stewart before, I don't know that I would necessarily say to start with this one, although you probably could. It would give you a good flavor for her writing and what it's like. But I absolutely love this one. I think it makes for perfect summer reading, that island setting. This would actually be ideal for reading while on the beach somewhere. Just make sure you don't head into any underwater caves right after reading this. And then my final pick for a weekend summer read that I think is fantastic is actually a book I don't have a physical copy of, but I have just ordered myself one because this is a book. I've read it a couple of times. I've checked it out from the library, but my library no longer has it in their collection. And I want my own copy because this is such a delightful graphic memoir. And that is French Milk by Lucy Knisley. This is the story of Lucy and her mother and a holiday that they spent in Paris. And I believe they are there for a few months. I think it's over the summertime. I could be mistaken, but I believe it's over the summer. They are just living in Paris and enjoying that life. And I love Lucy Knisley's illustrations. I will insert a picture of one of the pages or a couple of pages from the book here so that you can see what those look like. And she immediately immerses you and makes you feel as if you are with her in Paris. And well, I can't think of a better way to spend a summer weekend afternoon than armchair traveling to Paris. This is just a delightful graphic memoir. And if you enjoy this one, Lucy Knisley has a whole series of graphic memoirs that she's written. She has one called Relish, which is all about food. She has another travel memoir that she wrote, and her books and her illustrations are so lovely. I am utterly charmed by her. I've been reading her books for years and years and years, and I highly recommend her. If you've never read Lucy Knisley before, definitely give French Milk a try. It's my favorite, and I hope that you love it too. And that wraps up my 5 weekend summer reading picks. I hope that you found something in these 5 books that sounds good to you, that you might want to pick up over a summer weekend and sit down and read it and enjoy it, or pop it in your bag if you're heading off somewhere for a weekend and you're going to have some time to read. I think any of these would be perfect for that. They're all very, very lightweight, so they travel easily. And I would love to chat with you down in the comments. Which one of these books were you most intrigued by? And what books are on your summer weekend list? What is a book that you have read and loved and you think would make for perfect summer weekend reading? Let's talk all things short summer reads down in the comments. But if you're here and you don't have anything that you'd like to add in the comments, but you'd like to let me know that you were here, and comments really do help my channel, why don't you leave a French emoji down in the comments? That could be a croissant, it could be the French flag, it could be, a glass of milk, since we talked about French milk. So leave those emojis down in the comments. I really do love seeing that you were here, and as I said, comments really do help my channel. And if you did enjoy this video, if you could hit that like button and subscribe. If you aren't already subscribed, I would love to have you join my bookish community. And thank you again for taking time out of your day and spending it here with me in my cozy corner of booktube. And as always, I'll be back with another video very soon. Bye!